How's it going, guys? Dead by Daylight recently made a tweet about a developer update that's going to be the last of the year. This is for October 2022. They're going to be adding bots to custom matches. So let's say you want to practice with a killer. Let's say you want to practice your 100 snipes on certain maps. You can fill up your lobby with bots to practice. I think this is going to be not so bad for new players, as most of the time, if you're new to the game, you're likely going to get destroyed. To remedy this, you'll be able to actually face off against bots in a custom lobby to practice a completely different killer that you've never played before. Or if you want to practice 100 snipes on certain matches, you can only play with bots in custom matches now. And for us YouTubers, I don't need to fire up a second account because I don't have any friends for certain YouTube videos. Oh, this feature is going to be only currently limited to adding survivor bots. In the future, they want to add killer bots, so you'll be able to practice as survivor as well. They're also doing visual improvements. They changed the way that breakable walls look, pallets look, the basement. It looks honestly something like out straight out of a horror movie, which is quite nice. Flashlight adjustments. So let's say there's a survivor in a locker and the killer pulls the survivor out of a locker. Someone could time a flashlight perfectly to get a blind right as the killer grabs them out. That person that just was grabbed falls off the killer's shoulder. Behaviors recognize that sometimes killers can't really do anything about this, and I think this mostly affects survivor friends. They're going to make it so that killers gain blind immunity when grabbing a survivor from a locker. And to be fair, as someone that plays a lot of killer, the only time I've seen these locker blinds is in a survivor friends. The fact that they're getting rid of this entirely is more so a nerf to survivor friends rather than just flashlights as a whole. But as a compensation for that, they're adding a 4th second flashlight buffer so that you have a 1/4 of a second extra time to get the save off. They recognize that a lot of new players have trouble timing a perfect flashlight blind, and it's a very high skill level thing to do. Now, by making it easier, flashlight saves are more accessible to everybody. In turn, flashlights got buffed. This is very congruent from what Behavior talked about, how they want to bridge the gap between the power that Survivor Friends have and that solos have, nerfing the instances where flashlight blinds were used in Survivor Friends, and buffing flashlights as a whole for people that play solo queue. Yes, this does buff Survivor Friends a little bit, but being unable to get blinded through lockers is kind of a way to counterbalance that buff that they got. Matchmaking improvements. They're adding team-based ratings. Dying heroically to save your team can feel a little anticlimactic. Your ratings will adjust based not only on your performance, but your team's performance as well. So let's say you want to play super altruistic to pull the teammates off the hook. You'll get rewarded for helping keep your team alive. I'm assuming this is in a way trying to push the community in a less selfish direction, because a lot of people, when it gets to endgame collapse, and then there's 2 survivors on the hook, 2 survivors at the exit gate, and those 2 people just leave. They don't want to die themselves. They play very selfishly. It seems that Behavior's trying to push the game into a more altruistic, non-opportunistic direction. The majority of the time, the people who only play to think of themselves to their own benefit oftentimes will be the only ones rewarded. When a new system like team-based ratings is put in place, those selfish people all of a sudden need to start thinking about their comrades, which pushes the game in a less toxic direction, where it's less about me, and more about us. So if you haven't played Dead by Daylight for a long time, they're adding an extended break. Your first few matches will be a little bit easier to help you shake off the rust, and then your rating will adjust slightly to a position where the matchmaking system believes that you should be at. This makes it so that if you haven't played in a while and you're rusty and you're not hitting your shots, you would get destroyed by your typical maximum R players. You start off a little bit lower, and then you warm up to eventually where you belong. And now this one is the one that I am the most interested in. Prevented cheaters from hooking themselves, generators being instantly powered, cheaters starting a match with 2 killers, cheaters stacking duplicate perks and add-ons, prevented extended flashlight blinded durations, where I get blinded for 2 hours straight because they just want to burn my eye sockets out. Reduce the maximum length of matches to prevent extraordinarily long matches. I think they lowered it down from 2 hours to 1 hour. Added countermeasures to force the match to end after endgame collapse. Added countermeasures to prevent player sniping. Fixed an issue that could allow cheaters to crash the game. We are now able to confirm that these fixes were effective and limited the abilities of cheaters for the time being. We already identified additional vulnerabilities and will roll out fixes in the coming weeks. I'm not going to say it, but I can already think of a way that cheaters can still break the system. I've seen so many, dude. This is an insane step in the right direction. Being prevented to hook themselves. Being able to prevent generators from being instantly powered. Being able to force the match to end after endgame collapse. Huge! But it's really good, especially since Dead by Daylight is free to play right now if you don't own DVD. On the 28th to, I think, the weekend, Dead by Daylight is free to play. Anti-cheating measures, good. Temporary bans. To discourage toxic behavior, we're increasing the duration of our temporary bans across the board. First strike, 48 hours. Second strike, 1 week. Oh my god. Third strike, 1 month. Fourth strike, permanent. Particularly bad or repeated behavior may result in more than 1 strike if our support team deems it necessary. Toxicity has no place in our game, and we hope these increased durations will discourage players from spreading toxicity in the first place. Cheating will result in immediate permanent ban, as it should. I don't know if this includes disconnecting to prevent Blood Warden from being activated. I hope it does. Now please stop doing that. But from bots to different visual changes to flashlight buffs and nerfs and countermeasures to stop cheaters from doing crazy things is a pretty good update. And everything with behavior seems like they're trying to bridge the gap between the solo queue and Swifts. I'm genuinely curious to see what else they're going to be working on. They have a new killer coming out soon. They're adding solo queue improvements, maybe with the little icons on the side to tell you what your teammates are doing. And yeah. I think this is another really good developer update patch. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it.